there, this is Patricia from patriciafenty.com, and today I have a very quick and easy crochet pattern for you. It's a coffee cup mug cozy, and I'll show you two different styles. The pattern itself, the body itself is the same, but you can make it either using one button like this or do two buttons and loops. So it's just basically the cozy fits around the mug and then the loops go through the handles themselves. So very quick and easy to crochet, makes for a great last minute present if you're doing crochet, Christmas crochet gifts. So let's get started. So you can use any yarn you like. I'm using a number 4 medium weight yarn. It's acrylic. This is the Bernat Premium in burlap. And this is a really nice wool, hand spun wool yarn. So this would be like between a bulky and a super bulky. So, you know, any yarn that you have, this is a great project to use up scraps. And then you'll need buttons. And if you want to do the single large button, I would say something that's at least 30 millimeters or 1 1/4 inches is good. If you're going to do 2 buttons, then you'll need a pair of matching buttons for that. And then you'll need a crochet hook for appropriate size for your yarn. I'm using a 4.5 millimeter, and you'll need a darning needle and some scissors. Okay, so we're going to do something called a standing double crochet, which is doing the chain, foundation chain, and the double crochet all at the same time. So you're going to start with a slip knot, and if you're new to crochet, I do have my beginner crochet series that'll be linked in the description box below. So put your slip knot on your hook, set up your tension, and we're going to begin with a chain 3. So yarn over, pull that through, that's a chain 1, yarn over, pull that through, yarn over, pull through. Some people do a chain 4 first for this stitch, but we're doing a chain 3. So now you're going to begin a double crochet. So yarn over, and you're going to go into the beginning chain and picking up 2 loops of that beginning chain, yarn over, pull through. You'll have 3 loops on your hook. Now you're going to do the chain. So yarn over, pull through, and that's your chain 1. You can pinch that to hold that in place so you don't lose your spots. Yarn over, we're going to do the double crochet now, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, and that stitch is complete. So we're going to repeat that, yarn over, and I've been pinching that stitch, but you can see if you turn it over, it's that obvious V stitch. We're going to go into that chain, that chain at the base of the stitch, going under 2 loops, yarn over, pull through, and we're going to create the chain stitch, yarn over, pull through, and that's your chain. Then you're going to do the double crochet. So yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. And I'm kind of pinching this beginning chain to keep my spot. Let's do it again. Yarn over, go in, pick up 2 loops of that bottom chain, yarn over, pull through, do a chain 1, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. And you can slow this video down by going to the setting buttons, the gear icon below the video. You can choose playback speed and go to 0.75, and that'll slow this down for you. So you're going to create this a row of standing double crochets, yarn over, going back down into that chain, going under both loops, pull through, do a chain 1, and then do your double crochet. And you do that all the way along until you've made your foundation row 9 inches or the length that you want to fit around your cup. So you're going for length here, not for stitch count. So go ahead and do that, and I'll see you at the end. Now as you come to the end of the row and you have it the length that you like, you want to make sure you have an even number of stitches, and that's counting your beginning chain 3. That counts as 1 stitch. The fabric will curve a little bit like this, that's fine. That'll straighten out as we go. So for row 2, you can turn your work and chain 3. You're then going to do, we're going to work down into not this first chain, but the second one. Put your hook through a loop of that chain, yarn over, pull through, you'll have 2 loops on your hook. Go down into the next chain, pick up 1 loop, and then yarn over, pull through, you'll have 3 loops on your hook. you're going to skip the next stitch, which is that last double crochet of the first row, and into the next stitch you're going to go under both loops of that stitch, yarn over, pull through. You'll have 4 loops on your hook. Yarn over, pull through all 4 loops, and do a chain 1. You're then going to go down into the shank of this chain 1, yarn over, pull through. You'll have 2 loops on your hook. Go down into that same stitch that you worked into with the previous stitch, going under both loops, yarn over, pull through. You'll have 3 loops on your hook. Skip a stitch, go into the next stitch, going under both loops of each stitch, yarn over, pull through. You'll have 4 loops on your hook, yarn over, pull through all 4 loops, and chain 1. And then you're going to repeat that stitch all the way along. You're going to go into the base of that chain, pull through, down into the stitch you worked into with the previous stitch, yarn over, pull through, skip a stitch, go into the next stitch, going under both loops, yarn over, pull through, 4 loops on your hook, yarn over, pull through all 4, and chain 1. And then again, you can slow the video down to see this more slowly. And do it one more time. Go into that chain, go down into the same stitch from the previous one, skip a stitch, go into the next stitch, going under both loops. You'll have 4 loops on your hook, yarn over, pull through all 4 loops, and chain 1. So carry on and do that to the end of the row, and I'll see you there. Now coming to the end of this row, you'll have 2 stitches left. So you're going to complete this daisy stitch, go into that post of that chain 1, down into that first stitch, or from the previous stitch, and then skip a stitch and doing the last stitch, pulling through the last stitch here. This is the beginning chain 3, so it can be a little bit tight to get into. There we go, going under 2 loops, yarn over, pull through. You have 4 loops on your hook, yarn over, pull through all 4 loops. Now for you don't do a chain 1 at the end of this. We're now going to turn our work and begin the second row, third row, I guess that is, yeah. So we're going to chain 3, and we're going to work the same stitch all the way along, but it'll look slightly different. So skipping that first chain, going into the next chain, yarn over, pull through. Go down into the next chain, yarn over, pull through. Now this time what you're working into is you're working into that chain 1 space, or that space that you skipped from the previous row, and it's an obvious hole there, but you will be skipping a stitch here, and that will be your skipped space from the previous row. So put your hook in there. You'll have 4 loops on your hook, yarn over, pull through all 4 loops, and a chain 1. And then you'll go into that post of that chain 1, come down into this stitch from the previous stitch, pull that through, skip a stitch, and you're working into that space from the previous row for your 4th stitch, and yarn over and pull through all 4 loops and chain 1. So you're just going to work that stitch all the way along until you get to the end of the row, and I will see you there. Now as you come to the end of row 3, you'll have one more cluster to do, so you should have 2 stitches left. This very last stitch can be a bit tricky to see, but it is there. So we'll just go into that post, down into the base of that last cluster, skip a stitch, and then going into this very last stitch, going under 2 loops, pull through, and you've got 4 loops on your hook, yarn over and pull through 4 loops. And that's the end of row 3. Now you can repeat row 3 as often as you like. If you're doing, say, a travel cup, you might want to do maybe 4 or 5 rows, 6 rows. We're going to do 3 rows for the coffee cup. So just turn your work in chain 3, or chain 3 and turn your work. And you're going to just repeat that same row, doing those clusters all the way along and down into this one here. And yeah, so go ahead and do that. We're going to do one more row here, and then we're going to finish off with a row of double crochet. Welcome back. So I've just finished my last row of clusters. So I have 3 rows of the daisy cluster stitch. So now we're going to finish off with a row of double crochet. So you can chain 3 and turn your work, or turn your work and chain 3. It's totally up to you. So you have your 1, 2, 3 chains. So then this is your very first stitch here below those three chains. You're going to yarn over, going under both loops of that stitch. You'll do a double crochet. And then go over to the next stitch, and the next stitch will be a little bit tricky to find because that's one of your spaces. And going to do a double crochet in that space. And so you're going to double crochet into every stitch. Some of them will be easy to find, and others will be a little bit tighter to find, but that's it. Just double crochet going under both loops of every stitch, and you'll do that until you get to the end of the row. So I'll see you there. All right, once your row of double crochets are done, you're going to leave the yarn on because we're going to crochet the loops down this side, and so then you can sew your buttons on this side. I'm just going to tack mine on initially, and then once I have everything set up properly, I'll sew them for good. This is your right side. I should have mentioned that. So you can see your last row going this way will be your right side, your double crochet top side. That's what the back would look like. So if you're making this taller, you want to do an odd number of these cluster rows. So I did 3, so you want to do like 5 or 7. And then you're going to place your buttons, and if you're using double buttons, you just want to place them in the top and bottom corners. You can use this tail and to sew this one button on. And then of course, if you're using the larger single button, you can place that right in the middle and either sew it on or tack it on. So I'm going to do that, and I'll be right back. Okay, so I've just left these, this I used my tail end, so I'll finish that off later. This I just used a new piece and sewed my buttons on. So I'll finish all those off later in case I want to move them. So now that I have my button placement, I know where I want to put my loops on this side. So you can sort of draw a line right over here, and I know that I want the loop to be right sort of centered in this row of double crochet. So what we're going to do is we're going to slip stitch down the side, but you're going to chain 1 and turn your work sideways like this. And now we're going to be slip stitching into the ends of the rows. So you don't have proper stitches to go into, but you're going to do your best to find a place to go into. I'm going to go into the top of that double crochet, that last double crochet. There's 2 loops that I'm picking up there. Yarn over, pull through those 2 loops and the loop on your hook. So now we're starting to work down the side here. And this is where I'm going to begin to do my loops. Now you'll need the coffee cup or the cup that you want to use. I know for the size that I'm working with here that I did, for this big loop, I did 15 chains. For the small loop, I think I'm going to do 12. So I'll see you when that's done. Okay, so here's my chain 15. So now you just want to bring the chain down and slip stitch it into the side of this double crochet, and you want to kind of find the bottom of this stitch. So we'll just go under and find 2 loops as best as you can in the side of that stitch, and then slip stitch it just like that. And then we're going to carry on slip stitching down to the next loop. But here you want to just check how it fits on your cup, so I'll just zoom out for that. Okay, so here we go, and I'll just bring that around. So for this cup, I'm going to put the loop over top of the handle, and that's a good fit. That fits very nicely. And this cup is kind of tapered, so if you're custom making it and you know for sure the size of your cup, I did 12 chains here. I'm probably going to do maybe 10 chains for this here, just because it's slightly narrower at the bottom. And then you can see here on this cup where I did the big button, and it just fits right in the middle, and the 15 chains were fine. I slip stitched down here to the middle of the panel, did my 15 chains and slip stitched all the way down here. So we'll carry on slip stitching down, and I'll see you when we do that. There we go. So yeah, so now you're just going to find your way into the side of this crochet work as best as you can, and just slip stitch down the side. And if I were doing the middle button, I would slip stitch to here, and I would do my chain here, and then I would skip that space and I would slip stitch into this space here. And so just slip stitch all the way down, and now we're at the row of the double crochet. So I'm going to go in there, pick up 2 loops, do a slip stitch, oops, get that through, slip stitch, and then I'm going to chain 10 this time. So I'll do that and I'll be back. All right, there's my chain 10. And so I'm going to bring that down at the base of this row of double crochet with a slip stitch. And then at this point you can double check to see if it's a good fit around your mug. And for me it was. I've already checked this. And then you're going to have 1 more stitch to slip stitch at the end here. Just 1 more. There we go. And then you can do a chain 1 to fasten that off. Cut a tail end, pull that through, and then you can darn in that tail end. And then for the tapered mugs, you'll have 1 loop larger than the other loop. And for the regular mugs, you can just have the big button with the big single loop. So I'm going to darn in my tail ends and secure my buttons, and I'll be back for the final reveal. All right, here we go. All done. 3 different styles of mugs, the same pattern body of the warmer itself, but using the big button creates a look, and then the small buttons are good for the more tapered type of mug, because you can make that lower loop a little bit smaller. So yeah, these are just so much fun to make. They crochet up very quickly, so super to use for craft fairs. People often ask if they can use my patterns to sell the products, to make them and sell them, and that's totally okay. So, you know, if you make products for craft fairs, by all means use this pattern. And yeah, what a great gift if you have like a really lovely mug, and then the cozy, and then put in some little packets of hot chocolate or something, or coffee or tea. It'd be really lovely. So I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. Check out my other videos as well.